Hi there, students. Ground Zero. Okay, Ground Zero is the exact place where a nuclear explosion occurs. And this phrase, Ground Zero, was first used in reference to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War. Nowadays, the phrase Ground Zero is used particularly in relation to the destruction of the World Trade Center in New York on September the 11th, 2001. And very often that is used in capital letters. For example, Ground Zero in New York is a popular tourist destination nowadays. I actually once went up one of the twin towers while they were there. So Ground Zero, it's the place where a serious bombing attack takes place, where the center of a violent event, of something that was extreme. And then the metaphor by extension goes on to the point at which something begins. So, yes, the old chestnut. The murder of Archduke Ferdinand was Ground Zero for the First World War. So Ground Zero is the epicenter of a nuclear explosion, and by extension the location where a disaster or violent attack occurred, and then by extension from that the place at which something began. So Ground Zero, as I said, this was first used to define the land directly below where the atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki were exploded. But this has gone much further, and most commonly Ground Zero nowadays refers to the site of the attack or in New York of the World Trade Center. But for example, this is Ground Zero for where the revolution started. The starting point, the fundamental place. So to start something again, the teacher didn't like my project, and I've got to start again from Ground Zero, from the very beginning. So notice this phrase has increased and increased. So the exact place where something important happens or started happening. Móstoles near Madrid is Ground Zero for the Spanish Revolution against the French occupation of Napoleon. This street is Ground Zero for the city's architectural renaissance. Okay, so Ground Zero, this is the place where something started. The Pope will pray at Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan. The city was Ground Zero for the birth of this political party. So it's a site of devastation, a site of violent attack. these photographs show ground zero of where the tornado hit ground. So the starting point of an activity as well. If you want to start from ground zero, you need to read some basic books on the subject, the place where something started happening. When you start a new project, you're starting at ground zero. We started from ground zero and are going to do the whole thing from the bottom up. So square one, back to ground zero, back to square one. Okay, so ground zero, a nuclear explosion, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Ground zero, where the World Trade Center used to stand, the Twin Towers. Ground zero, the place where something began, the place where something started. Formality, ground zero. I think I'm going to use a 5 in formality for this. Use absolutely anywhere. So, ground zero.